You're the one people always count on, the reliable one and the capable one. You get things done under pressure, you don't make a scene, and you deliver. And yet there's a dark side of being capable. The more reliable you are, the more invisible you can feel. This is not a call to be half productive, less productive, or less capable. It's not a call to be lazy. It's the opposite. It's encouragement for you to keep going and to keep doing your best. But realize what can happen when you work with people who don't fully realize it, or worse, take it for granted. It's what I call the curse of the capable. And I want to unpack why high performers often feel unseen. I want to talk about how it can wear on you over time and what to do about it before it gets you to the point where you don't want to give your full effort. And when we talk about the curse of the capable, I'm talking about when people assume you don't need recognition. People lean on you without asking if you can carry more or how you're doing, and really mean that question. You can often make difficult things look easy, so few people see the actual weight that you're carrying because you carry it so well. The better you do at your job, the more they forget how difficult it really is. And this is not an ego trip. This is about being strong in who you are, communicating effectively. And one of the things that we struggle with right now is that idea of manhood and manliness and masculinity. And at what point are we supposed to communicate? How do we best communicate? How is it being received? If it's not received, or worse, it's ignored or put down, and there ends up being a lot of guys that end up not wanting to talk about this kind of stuff because either people aren't going to listen, people are going to think I'm weak, people think I'm complaining. Whether this is true or not, or maybe you're making it up in your head and you're assuming people are going to think these things about me, there's ends up being this tendency that we don't say the things that are necessary. We don't say the quiet part out loud because we either fear the response, we've heard a response before and think we're going to get it again, or make a lot of assumptions of what a guy should be, what a man should be, what they should carry, and what that should look like. And capable people aren't just reliable. Their help and their expertise ends up being the expectation, which is, again, this is why it's a curse, because that's a good thing and it can be challenging. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying you need to be aware of what it will look like when you are the reliable person, when you're always the one that people are relying upon. You're the one that shows up. You're the one that does the great job. Awesome. That is what I would hope that you would do. Just realize that when that becomes the norm, it becomes the expectation, people can start relying upon you, maybe not giving their all because they know that you're going to pick up the slack. I've seen this before in the military where, when somebody comes in, a group of people come into the Air Force, and you would have people in from 3, 4, 5 years, and the people that are really good and push and want to do a good job and take ownership and work at being the best at their trade, they get worked to death. And then you have another group of people that kind of pull their weight. They do the half effort. They lean on the other people who are doing the job, either because they're not as good, or they're just lazy, or they're half-assing it, or whatever. And then you get these really good people that now have 3 to 6 years of experience. They're veterans, they're educated, they're trained, they have a bunch of experience, and they don't want to deal with the nonsense anymore, and they end up getting out. So then what happens is you have this group of people who, for the last few years, have been half-assing it, are now the ones that are staying in. They're the ones that are getting promoted, It's not a 100% picture of what's going on, but it does happen. And it's not exclusive to the military. This happens all over the place. If you have, if you're working with a group of 4 or 5 people in a work center and 2 people are doing the majority of the work and the other ones are slacking off and the other 2 are like, man, forget this. I'm going to go over to this other job where I feel like I'm going to get paid more or have more appreciation. Then what happens? Your superstars are gone because they're not appreciated. They're being leaned on. Other people aren't pulling their weight, right? You can see how this becomes a problem. And no way excuses that you should not give your all. I think you absolutely should, because what we're talking about here is the habit and the mindset of, I want to learn, I want to train, I want to gain the experience, the knowledge, skills, and abilities. I need to be good at my job, and I want to do my job well. I want to be aware of what's going on around me. Are other people pulling their weight? Are they training and getting educated and pushing to be better at their jobs as much as I am? I want a team that's constantly moving forward, and not everybody's going to be the same. And this is where, there's sometimes the uncomfortable conversation about pay disparity. It doesn't have to be a male versus female thing, but if you got a team of 5 people, we're all doing the same job, but do we bring the same level of experience and education? Are we all pushing as hard, right? And so maybe there might be some pay disparity based on education and experience. That's the only time that I can think of is relevant. There should be a pay disparity, not about sex or gender. It's simply about your education, your expertise. What do you bring to the team? And then what are you doing when you're on the team? And, when we talk about being good at our job, being indispensable is not the same as being valued. You might be doing an amazing job, and your amazing becomes your normal. Are other people valuing what you're doing, or is it just, okay, he just shows up, he does a great job, and it might be above and beyond, but are they really valuing it as above and beyond, or do they just value it as that's the normal thing? It's normal for you because that's how you do the work, but are they actually valuing what you bring to the team? There is potential fallout associated with this. The side effects might be feeling invisible, right? Do they even notice what I carry? Do they even notice the extra I put in? If I don't put in the extra and the job still gets done, are they going to care, right? You might end up finding yourself with growing resentment that you are needed but not valued for what you bring, and are the other people equaling your effort? And then over time, that can lead to burnout. The pressure adds up, but nobody sees it until you drop, and then they wonder why suddenly you drop. But it wasn't a sudden thing. It was over a significant period of time. You might have thought patterns like, if I stop, everything falls apart, right? Do you feel like that? Like, if I didn't do my job to the best of my ability, like, things would just go wrong. Are they only noticing when you fail, right? They don't appreciate the great things you do from day to day. You do it right. You do it excellent 99 times, and there's one time. Is it oh, hey, you messed up? Or is, oh my gosh, it's such a big deal this one time you messed up? People are going to mess up. It's going to happen. Anytime, shoot, I could say human, but even mechanical, things are going to go wrong and things are going to happen. How do they respond when, not if, but when you fall short, when you fail, when you make a mistake? What is that reaction going to be like? And is it one of those situations where I'm too valuable to lose, but I'm not valuable enough to recognize and maybe receive the promotion or receive the raise, or even just the general recognition, right? If I walked away, am I a single point of failure where nobody else is backing me up? If I leave, this whole thing falls apart. Capable doesn't have to mean invisible. And it's not an ego trip. I don't always need a pat on the back. I need people to recognize the excellence that I bring and the effort that I put in of, hey, this is good stuff. And the team that I work with right now, we do a really good job of this. It's not about I need a pat on the back every time I come in, but the recognition of this is good work and this is why, and let's keep it going. There's a lot of things online of nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. Just keep going. Well, at what point do we put on the brakes and say, okay, well, nobody's cared about me for a long time, whether that's true or made up in our head? That's the thing that we're fighting against, is that alpha mentality of, oh, you need to be a lone wolf, or you need to just lead the pack and shut up and just do what you're told. Like, that's what causes guys to burn out. That's what causes guys to have the feeling of loneliness. Not saying that I need a pat on the back. Occasional recognition helps me understand that people appreciate the work that I put into this. Same thing with, my wife is really good about that. Cindy will tell me that she appreciates me, and I do that for her as well. I appreciate you. I don't only say thank you. I will say things like, I appreciate you for doing this and this and this. Not only is it, I'm not just saying thank you, I'm telling her how much I appreciate her, but then I'm giving her examples of why I appreciate her. Sorry, I'm talking a little bit fast. I'm starting to trip over my words. We were having this conversation last night out on the patio after the kids went to bed, and we were just kind of having one of those conversations of, I appreciate you because of this, and I appreciate you because of this. And I kind of turned to her at one point. I'm like, tell me why you appreciate that. What is it about that you appreciate? I wasn't looking for validation. Truly wanted to know, what is it about that? When you say you appreciate me being a strong husband and supporting you, what does that mean? And because I want to know, if I'm doing something really well, what does that mean, and how can I ensure that I continue to do that and get better at that thing? It doesn't have to be fixing broken things. A lot of times it's reinforcing the good things that are going on. And that's what I'm talking about. A strong couple, strong relationship, a strong team relies upon effective feedback so that we can push forward with the things that we're doing well. So, and this is not exclusive. I use the example of the military, but this could be in corporate settings. This could be in sports, where we reward outcomes, but not people. And I think sports is like an excellent example of that. That is a "what have you done for me lately" culture. You could be a champion from last year, but if you're not really producing today, you could lose your starting spot tomorrow. Doesn't matter that you won a championship last year. What are you doing for me right now? It's very reward outcome. It's not people focused. And in psychology, we talk about, we train people to treat us like machines when we don't show our limits. How can other people understand what's going on in your head if you don't actually talk to them? Mind reading is that idea of, I can't expect you to understand. I shouldn't expect to understand what's going on inside your head, but also I shouldn't expect you to understand what's going on in mine, right? I can't read your mind. You can't read mine. And so if you're not going to have effective communication, there's more likely going to be a point where, whether it's at work or you're in a relationship, somebody might make assumptions and it might feel like they're taking you for granted. This could be, if you're in a leadership position, the classic phrase of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Okay, well, what does that mean? That means that the silent workhorse, or the silent machine or person, the one that's not squeaky or causing a ruckus, is that going to be ignored? Or are they still going to receive their periodic maintenance of what they need? Are you going to check up on people, no different than you change the oil, rotate the tires on your car? Do you check up on your people to make sure your friends, your family, whoever you're in a relationship with, your coworkers, do you check up on those people to make sure that they are doing well, just like you would your car? I would hope that people would do that for me as well. And if you don't have that, the cost is that you become defined by output, not identity. It's not about, you're a strong member of our team. It's, you have not been producing lately. And so it's about output, not about appreciating the person behind it. And if you're always, whether it's other people rescuing you if you're the weak link, or you're the one that's constantly out rescuing other people, no one's ever really going to know or appreciate how much you're carrying. So the understanding that when we talk about this being a curse, it's usually, when you talk about a curse, there's something valuable, but there's a detriment associated with it, right? It's like the curse of the black pearl, the gold in the chest, right? This valuable gold, but there was a curse associated with it, right? That's kind of what we're talking about here, is the value that you bring, but the curse associated with being so highly valuable. Now, don't lose your identity because of your output. Yes, you're a valuable person. Yes, what you do is valuable, but don't lose yourself in what you do. Make sure that you are communicating effectively. And I don't necessarily buy into that thing of nobody cares. I put this up on one of a couple years ago with the rugby team during our preseason camp. I put up one of those, the picture was a t-shirt. It says, "Nobody cares, work harder." And I followed that up with, I crossed through it with a red X, and I'm like, I care, and I want you to work harder. That's the mentality that I'm looking for, is yes, I do care, and I want you to keep pushing. Because I think if we just keep reinforcing that idea of nobody cares, well, some people do, right? I've heard that even in, making podcasts and making videos online. I see that a lot. They're like, nobody cares. Just, if you're going to make videos, just make videos. Okay, I get that to a point. But I've had quite a few messages from people, whether it be comments on the videos or direct messages, because they didn't feel comfortable putting it in front of everybody, asking questions. Hey, what do you think about this? And, oh, thank you very much for putting out, this really means a lot to me. Even if I get one of those a month, it's still totally worth it. That's, another thing I was talking to my wife about the other night was I used to do podcasting because I was trying to sell coaching. Now I'm to the point where I just enjoy doing podcasting. I just like talking about this stuff. And if nobody cares, I'm still probably going to do this because I enjoy it and I get to talk to cool people. I get to vent and talk about my life and my perspective on things. But I know that there's people out there that are going to identify with this. They're going to receive value from it. And even if only, 1 out of 100 people actually say something, that's still feedback that I can use to continuously motivate myself and remind myself that people are out there and do appreciate. And so if you see somebody that's killing it, go out there and say something. Likewise, if you're killing it and you don't feel appreciated, how do you deal with that? Because just keeping silent may not be the answer, right? Nobody cares, just work harder. Okay, well, I go to the gym and there's a group of us, several of us, that we just kind of throw out some compliments to each other. Hey, even if it's just encouragement. Hey, man, I've been seeing you've been in the gym, 4 or 5 days a week. You're killing it. You're looking good. You look like you're moving well. Like whatever it is, whatever silly comment. It seems silly, but for those of us that are connected to each other, it's meaningful. And when I receive compliments from people that I've been in the gym for a while, it does help. It reminds me that, people do recognize and people do notice. So I think that's a really dangerous thought process and mindset to get into, that nobody cares, just keep going. Because, okay, well, if nobody cares, then why am I still going? Right? Why am I killing myself at this job? I'm not talking about your personal fitness and nutrition. Like all that stuff is your responsibility. Right? Even if nobody cares, you should still be doing that for yourself. But if you're killing yourself for a job and nobody cares, and they're not appreciating you, and they're not giving you feedback, and other people being lazy because you're killing it, you might want to consider, is that a valuable environment for you to be in? Because that's different. Right? You still want to do a good job. You don't want to be one of those guys that ends up, doing the half-assed work. You want to keep doing your work, but for what and for who and for what team are you contributing to? Are they picking up the slack? So, right, I just wanted to clarify, because I don't want that to seem like I'm blurring that conversation. You are responsible for you. That's a different conversation. I'm talking about you working hard, not being appreciated, and then you end up getting this curse of the high output but no value is being shown for your high output. right? And the curse of the capable isn't about being too good. It's about being too quiet and the cost associated with your well-being over the long time. And so here's my challenge. This week, I want you to think about assess your situation and either show appreciation for if you are being valued and appreciated, or set that boundary, right? Have a voice and try to voice that one thing. I actually did a video on TikTok that talked about if your attention is scattered, you're never really going to be doing anything well. So make sure you're giving your full attention to the things you need to give your attention, and then move on to the next thing, right? You can't be scattered and expect to be great. And one of the people had wrote back and talked about, they had this, it could have been a Walgreens or a CVS, they were responsible for stocking and effectively setting up shelving, right? Products on a shelf at this store. And their comment was about how their boss, their leaders are always expecting them to, do this and then go do this and then go do this. And they're kind of all over the place, and they never really get one job complete or looking really good. And he made the comment of, he didn't blow anybody off, but he says, no, I can't get to that yet. I can't get to that yet. I'm working on this. And he said that this one thing ended up being so good. And then he moved on to the next thing. And that next thing ended up being so good. And each one didn't get the attention immediately when they wanted it to, but the attention that it did receive was phenomenal. And he got lots of, whoever it was, got a lot of feedback on their work and their effort and the outcome. And it was both the outcome and the effort that they put into it, and we kind of exchanged a couple of messages of, well, I hope they learned a lesson. And they were like, well, it's probably not, LOL. And, I got it. But at least in this particular instance, they recognized the effort, and they recognized that they were able to put their attention to one thing, have a really good outcome because of their attention to it. And it sounded like they got the validation for the effort that they put into it. Not that the validation was make or break, but if you're not receiving the validation, be careful that you're not being valued, that you're only being judged based off your output, right? So think about that challenge for the week of consider your environment. Are you killing it? And are you being appreciated for what you're doing and what that means? Don't stop killing it. Keep it up. But ask yourself what in the environment, who in the environment is appreciating and maybe not appreciating you as much as they should be. Share this episode with someone you know, friend or a colleague who always has it together. Chances are they're quietly carrying more than anyone realizes. They need a little bit of encouragement. A little encouragement goes a long way to let them know that they're not overlooked, that they're not undervalued. I appreciate any feedback that you'd offer. You can hit me up through TikTok, YouTube. Really excited to put this podcast out, and I'm looking forward to coming up Wednesday. Going to be talking to Dan Costa. Danny Costa is an up and coming internet sensation, I'll call him that, with a little bit of a smile. He's a really good friend of mine. He's got a great experience. I met him when I was working in New Mexico, and he is highly entertaining. He approaches content creation a lot different than I do. I love following his stuff, so I'll be really excited for the interview that'll be out this Wednesday. Like, share, heart, subscribe, all the social buttons that you can hit to support the show. Send me your feedback. Always looking for ways to improve the show. And I will definitely talk to you soon. So remember that ambition isn't the enemy of peace, and peace doesn't mean standing still. Stay grounded and stay unsettled.